Hi, welcome to Journey into Parenting. I'm aware that a lot of people have been thrown into this situation where they're now having to home educate for the first time. And I've been home educating now for a couple of years, and I just wanted to share with you some of the things that I've learned from that experience. So I'm going to give you my kind of top 3 tips for that. My first tip is to cultivate your relationship with your child. So children they learn a lot through imitating and emulating the adults around them. And if you kind of take time to have really kind of high quality interactions with your child. So there's a book that I really love by Gabor Mate called Hold On to Your Kids. And he talks a lot in the book about, how important this relationship is, and that everything else kind of overflows from that. And a lot of the times, if you think that your child's being naughty or difficult, it's actually just because they're really kind of longing for a certain quality of attention from you. And you can give them that high quality attention by just kind of really looking in their eyes, whenever they come into a room and you're there, look up, make sure that they know that they're really welcome and that they're safe. And my opinion is that you don't need to kind of necessarily do any, particular task or anything kind of fancy or special with them. You can just sit with them on the sofa, make eye contact with them, and just kind of follow what arises from the interaction. Just let them kind of guide you in a way. So really kind of cultivate that relationship. Make sure your child knows that they matter to you, and that they're important and that they're special. And my kind of second tip was basically, rather than trying to kind of recreate the school curriculum at home, to provide a stimulating environment for your child, and then allow them to sort of create their own learning journey. So when I first started home educating, I did what most people do, and I kind of made lessons at home. And actually, I'm a trained teacher, so that was kind of quite a familiar thing for me to do. But I kind of, I met with a lot of resistance, and I felt like it was actually damaging the relationship that I have with my son. So I kind of dropped that, and I did some reading about the democratic school movement, and in that movement, so my son now goes part-time to a democratic school actually, and in democratic schools, children they take a lot of responsibility for their own learning, and it has been amazing for us. And it can take a bit of nerve to trust in your child to guide their own learning, but actually children have got so much kind of natural curiosity, and really kind of all we need to do as adults is provide opportunities for them to learn. And it's a great thing. I think it allows them to be sort of more self-motivated, and to learn how to be disciplined. I think if we have a good relationship with our children, like I said, they want to kind of emulate us, and if they kind of notice you being disciplined, if you're kind of sitting down to work at a particular time every day, or you've got a kind of fitness regime that you're doing every day, again they'll sort of want to emulate that themselves. So that's also, I guess, another tip, is to be a positive role model for them. I've got lots of resources on my website about how to kind of take this sort of approach. I've written an article about how to use theatrical improv as a tool for interacting with your child, which is kind of a fun thing to do. My third tip is to let them be bored sometimes. Sometimes you'll find your child will come to you and say that they're bored. That might mean, actually, I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling lonely. So you don't necessarily have to try and fill that gap with an activity. Sometimes actually it's a better idea to empathise with your child, tune into them, do a kind of full body scan, figure out what's really going on for them, and they might just need a cuddle or a little bit of empathy. Or sometimes we can empathize with them, and then allow them to kind of sit with that feeling. And what I found with my son is that I've kind of followed this practice for a while of rather than kind of offering him an activity, just empathizing, and then allowing him to kind of come back into this place where he's kind of in a state of flow and he's finding ways to entertain himself. My advice also would be to limit screen time, because screens can be quite addictive, and we can use the screen sometimes as a way to kind of pacify the child if they're struggling, and actually that's it's depriving them of an opportunity to find a more constructive way to deal with their emotions. And also, by limiting screen time, you end up with a child who is much more able to kind of entertain themselves, and probably has a longer attention span. So yeah, those are my quick tips for home educating. If you've got any questions, please post them in the comments below. Subscribe for more videos, and I've got lots of material and a course on my website that I'm offering as well. And enjoy it. It can be a really lovely time, having more time with your family and those that you love. Thanks.